I met her on the night the sea learned my name. My name is Mara, and I don't usually talk to strangers. But the Lighthouse Café at the edge of the harbor makes quiet things possible. October air tasted like salt and oranges from a nearby crate. The floor creaked with every step. Cups sang softly. Outside, the breakwater breathed a steady hush. Light from the rotating lamps slid across the windows in long, liquid strokes, like time remembering itself. I came to read, or to pretend to. The book stayed open at the same page while the tide rearranged stones. Then the bell over the door sighed, and she walked in with a windbreaker folded over one arm, wet hair tucked behind one ear. She ordered tea and stood there for a moment, listening, like people do when they arrive somewhere both new and already theirs. She sat 2 tables away, where the lamp's reflection cut the room into warm and warmer. Our eyes met by accident, then with intention. Not a spark, not a blaze, more like recognition, a soft click between weathered shells. She smiled, the small kind that lives in the eyes first. I answered with the kind that admits I'm shy. "Rough tide," she said when the window moaned. Her voice had the calm of someone who trusts storms. "Good company for thinking," I replied, tapping my book as if it had helped. She noticed the title and laughed under her breath. "I read that last winter," she said. "It saved me from buying a plane ticket I didn't need." "What did it tell you?" I asked. "That the place I was chasing was just a room with the right light." She glanced at the window. "Or this light." Silence settled, not empty. A clean tablecloth between us. The barista dragged a cloth over the counter. Spoons chimed. The lighthouse beam swung and warmed her cheekbone for a second, then mine. She traced the cup's rim with one finger, absent-minded, like a cartographer sketching a coast. "I'm Anna," she said at last, almost apologizing for breaking the quiet. "Mara," I said, and the syllables felt less alone. We didn't fill the space with facts. We let small things speak, the steam drifting, the soft scrape of chair legs, the way her breath fogged the glass and then cleared to reveal our own reflections. 2 women held together by weather and a window. A gull cried somewhere over the pier and was gone. She looked at the door like someone who had left it once too often. "First time here?" I asked. "First time staying," she said, and I understood more than the words. The lamp's rotation slowed the room into frames. My book slid closed. Her tea cooled. Between one sweep of light and the next, we agreed to remain, to listen, to let the sea finish what it had started with our names. Nothing urgent, just a tide beginning. The next evening, the lighthouse turned slower. Or maybe time did. I came back without deciding to. My feet just followed the sound of waves that had learned her rhythm. The cafe smelled of rain-soaked wood and lemon peel. Anna was already there, sitting by the same window, sketchbook open, pencil drifting across the paper like it remembered something soft. "You came back," she said. "You too," I smiled. Outside, fishermen pulled nets in silence. Inside, we traded small details. Where she was from, a coastal town she'd left behind, what I did, not much worth bragging about, and why the sea made everything honest. "You can't fake yourself near water," she said, eyes on the horizon. "It reflects too clearly." I watched her hand move, thin lines forming a shape. The lighthouse, the cafe, maybe me beside the window. The sound of graphite against paper was as steady as her breathing. "Do you draw everyone who sits near you?" I asked. "Only the ones who look like they're waiting for something." "And do I?" She looked up, met my eyes. "You look like you finally stopped." That silence again. Warm, deliberate, full of things unsaid. Rain began tapping against the glass. Drops ran like film grain over her reflection. The cafe emptied slowly. She closed her sketchbook and whispered, "Come see the pier before it floods." We walked outside. The air was heavy, lit by the soft gold from the lighthouse. The waves lapped over our shoes. Laughter from the distance blurred into the hum of wind. She handed me her umbrella and stood uncovered, hair damp, face turned toward the storm like someone greeting an old friend. The wind pressed us closer. Not quite a touch, just that thin space where warmth begins. Her voice was barely louder than the rain. "You know what's strange?" "What?" "It doesn't feel like meeting. It feels like remembering." The light swept across us, bright enough to hold for a heartbeat. And in that flicker, two outlines, a pause, a shared breath, everything unnecessary fell away. When she finally spoke again, it was almost a promise. "Tomorrow, same time?" I nodded. "If the tide allows." The lighthouse kept turning, slow and patient, painting the night in circles. Somewhere in between them, something unnamed began, not with a kiss, not even with a touch, but with understanding. Maybe that's how love truly starts, not in the noise of confession, but in the quiet recognition that you've already been seen.